Good morning, good evening, whoever you are, wherever you are, whatever you might be doing. We wish to welcome you to the Silverlight Show. The Silverlight shines to illuminate that which lies hidden in darkness. For those of you tuning in today, we welcome you in. Genesis 28 and 29, also known as the story about how Jacob got himself two wives. When we last left off, Esau was planning to kill his brother Jacob, but his mother sent him away to her brother. So she's obviously going to try to set up a cousin marriage as well. Again, keeping it all in the family. Cousin marriages, not so bad as half-sister marriages. Cousin marriages happen all the time. Even in the modern age, we think that they're weird in the Western, educated, industrialized, rich, democratic countries, but there is a significant number of people in other countries think cousin marriages are the best way to go. And provided you don't marry the exact same lineage more than 5 times, yeah, it's actually not so bad if you switch cousins, which is very easily doable. But that's enough about the genetics. These are long the first one's a long chapter, so let's get to it. Genesis chapter 28. So Isaac sent for Jacob and blessed him. He instructed him, saying, "You shall not take a wife from among the Canaanite women. Up, go to Padan Aram, to the house of Bethuel, your mother's father, and take a wife there from among the daughters of Laban, your mother's brother. May El Shaddai bless you and make you fertile and numerous, so you become an assembly of peoples. May he grant the blessing of Abraham to you and your offspring, that you may possess the land which you are sojourning, which God has assigned to Abraham." Then Isaac sent Jacob off, and he went to Param Aram, to Laban the son of Bethuel the Aramean, the brother of Rebekah, mother of Jacob and Esau. When Esau saw that Isaac had blessed Jacob and sent him off to Param Aram to take a wife from there, charging him as he blessed him, "You shall not take a wife from among the Canaanite women," and that Jacob had obeyed his father and mother and gone to Padan Aram, Esau realized that the Canaanite women displeased his father Isaac. So Esau went to Ishmael and took to wife, in addition to the wives he had, Mahalath, the daughter of Ishmael, sister of Nebaioth. Jacob left Beersheba and set out for Haran. He came upon a certain place and stopped there for the night, for the sun had set. Taking one of the stones of that place, he put it under his head and lay down in that place. He had a dream. A stairway was set on the ground, and its top reached to the sky. Excuse me. And angels of God were going up and down on it. And the Lord was standing beside him, and he said, "I am the Lord of your God, the Father of your father Abraham, and the God of Isaac. The ground on which you are lying I will assign to you and your offspring. Your descendants shall be as the dust of the earth. You shall spread out to the world, the west and the east and the north and the south. All the families of the earth shall bless themselves by you and your descendants. Remember, I am with you. I will protect you wherever you go and will bring you back to this land. I will not leave you until I have done what I have promised you." Jacob awoke from his sleep and said, "Surely the Lord is present in this place, and I did not know it." Shaken, he said, "How awesome is this place! There is none other than the abode of God, and that is the gateway to heaven." Early in the morning, Jacob took the stone that he had put under his head and set it up as a pillar, poured oil on top of it. He named that site as Bethel, but previously the name of the city had been Luz. Jacob then made a vow, saying, "If God remains with me, if he protects me on this journey which I am making, and he gives me bread to eat and clothing to wear, and if I return safe to my father's house, the Lord shall be my God. And this stone which I have set up as a pillar shall be God's abode, and of all that you give me, I will set aside a tithe for you." So Isaac is pretty good at forgiving. I mean, he was just tricked into giving the blessing to Isaac, which he detected, but he still blesses his son and sends him off to Padan Aram. And I'm sorry if I'm saying that one wrong, but yeah, when you start reading these for a while, the names just kind of blur together. But he agrees with his wife. Jacob does not want to take a wife as one of the Hittite women as a wife, because they're still trying to get that holy lineage thing going. Esau, as impetuous as he is, I just like to describe him that, sees that the two Hittite women he has married have displeased his father. So he goes and actually does something relatively logical. He marries his cousin from, well, so let's say his half cousin, because Abraham's son Ishmael had more children, and he took, actually it doesn't say, oh, there it is, Mahalath. He took Mahalath to be his wife, and in his way, he's made his parents happy. Despite everything that's happened, Ishmael seems awfully happy to work with, Isaac. And there is this tendency in the Bible for brothers to be pissed off with each other, to go through bad times, and for them to forgive one another later through various things. So that's foreshadowing what's coming, but we'll get to that. It's a continuing theme. We also get the famous ladder to heaven. And it's a stairway that reaches up to the sky, and angels were going up and down on it. This appears in iconography countless times, and it is a powerful image. Now, whether it's a dream, whether it's a vision, it's leaving it up to you to decide what exactly is happening here, which that's a sign of good literature. I'm not going to fault the Bible for that at all. And the real importance of it is God establishing his covenant with Jacob. Because remember, before Jacob said, "Give me a blessing by your God," to his father Isaac, which is a very unusual thing to say. I mean, I wouldn't say to my parents, your God, not my God. There's an understanding that our gods are similar, but not necessarily the same. And it also kind of makes you wonder, who the heck was Jacob worshiping the whole time if God was somebody else's God? Or are they referring to the fact that Isaac has the power to call upon God by name, which is something that hasn't really been passed on yet? Well, unfortunately, Jacob is off wandering around. He's not likely to learn that skill, although he just got touched by an angel, for lack of better. Sorry to bring up the TV show. Never watched it, just like the name. And he goes on his merry way to find a wife with his mother's brother. In other words, he's going to be taking a cousin to wife. Let's get right on to chapter 29. Jacob resumed his journey and came to the land of the east. There before his eyes was a well in the open. 3 flocks of sheep were lying there beside it, for the flocks were watered from that well. The stone on the mouth of the well was large. When all the flocks were gathered there, the stone would be rolled from the mouth of the well and the sheep watered. Then the stone would be put back in its place at the mouth of the well. Jacob said to them, "My friends, where are you from?" And they said, "We are from Haran." He said to them, "Do you know Laban, the son of Nahor?" And they said, "Yes, we do." He continued, "Is he well?" They answered, "Yes, he is. And there is his daughter, Rachel, coming up with the flock." He said, "It is still broad daylight, too early to round up the animals. Water the flock and take them to pasture." But they said, "We cannot, until all the flocks are rounded up. Then the stone is rolled off the mouth of the well, and we water the sheep." While he was speaking with them, Rachel came with her father's flock, for she was a shepherdess. And when Jacob saw Rachel, the daughter of his uncle Laban, and the flock of his uncle Laban, Jacob went up and rolled the stone off the mouth of the well, and watered the flock of his uncle Laban. Then Jacob kissed Rachel and broke into tears. Jacob told Rachel that he was her father's kinsman, that he was Rebekah's son, and she ran and told her father. On hearing the news of his sister's son Jacob, Laban ran to meet him and embraced him and kissed him and took him into his house. He told Laban all that had happened. Laban said to him, "You are truly my bone and flesh." When he had stayed with him a month's time, Laban said to Jacob, "Just because you are a kinsman, should you serve me for nothing? Tell me, what should your wages be?" Now Laban had 2 daughters. The name of the older one was Leah. The name of the younger one was Rachel. Leah had weak eyes. Rachel was shapely and beautiful. Jacob loved Rachel, and he answered, I will serve you 7 years for your younger daughter Rachel. Laban said, Better that I give her to you than I should give her to an outsider. Stay with me. So Jacob served 7 years for Rachel, and they seemed to him but a few days because of his love for her. Then Jacob said to Laban, Give me my wife, for my time is finished, so that I may cohabit with her. And Laban gathered all the people of the place and made a feast. When evening came, he took his daughter Leah, brought her to him, and he cohabited with her. Laban had given his maidservant Ziplah to his daughter Leah as her maid. When morning came, there was Leah. So he said to Laban, What is this you have done to me? I was in your service for Rachel. Why did you deserve me? Laban said, It is not the practice in our place to marry off the younger before the older. Wait until the bridal week of this one is over, and we will give you that one too, provided you serve me another 7 years. Jacob did so. He waited for the bridal week of the one, then he gave him his daughter Rachel as a wife. Laban had given his maidservant Bilhah to his daughter Rachel as her maid. And Jacob cohabited with Rachel also. Indeed, he loved Rachel more than Leah. And he served him another 7 years. The Lord saw that Leah was unloved, and he opened her womb, but Rachel was barren. Leah conceived and bore a son, and named him Reuben, for she declared, This means the Lord has seen my affliction, and also means now my husband will love me. She conceived again and bore a son, and declared, This is because the Lord heard that I was unloved, and has given me this one also. So she named him Simeon. Again she conceived and bore a son, and declared, This time my husband will become attached to me, for I have borne him 3 sons. Therefore he was named Levi. She conceived again and bore a son, and declared, This time I will praise the Lord. Therefore she named him Judah. Then she stopped bearing. The Bible is actually employing a really familiar survival tactic for people in harsh conditions. When you have a well, you will put a stone over top of it, because that prevents the water from evaporating out of it. It's not 100%, but it is a very, very prominent survival tactic, particularly in arid conditions. And it shows these people are not just savage shepherds who are coming across a well. These are people who've planned ahead. They've taken enough time, and there's a pecking order of sorts. When Jacob comes in and opens the well for Laban's daughter, Rebecca, that's his mother, Rachel, he's basically showing them, I'm above your pecking order, let me do this. This has some far-reaching consequences. The whole marriage thing at first seems to be very arbitrary, but it does harken back to this, and it harkens back to Jacob stealing the birthright from Esau and stealing the blessings. Because Laban says to him, It is not the practice in our place to marry off the younger before the older. In other words, he's saying, Hey, know your role. You've already gotten away with this a couple times. We're putting you in your place. They also seem to be celebrating the same God. That's unusual because, well, even though Terah, their great-grandfather, was the one who initiated everybody moving around, and Abraham was the one who we have been following to this point, Laban is worshiping in the same way. They recognize that the Lord is going about and watching over them. In fact, even Leah, who is supposedly the unattractive wife, has 4 kids. That does imply Jacob is giving her more than a little bit of his time. I'm trying to say it delicately. He loves Rachel, but he definitely has time to chase poor weak-eyed Leah around. Now, Rachel is shapely and beautiful, but I'm guessing Rachel, even though she loved Jacob, she wasn't quite as into being intimate as her sister was. No matter what, yeah, not one of the most messed up chapters, but it does have a lot of callbacks. You kind of have to know the history, and you got this beautiful clapback at Jacob telling him to know his place. Know your role and shut your mouth kind of deal. We marry the first one off, and then I'll give you the second one afterwards. One thing I can't really place in my mind is Jacob says to Laban, give me my wife, for my time is fulfilled, that I may cohabit with her. We're talking 7 years. Let's assume Jacob's a relatively young man when he arrives there. I'm sure if I go back, I could calculate it out, as could anybody else, but math. So let's pretend he arrives when he's 20 and he served till 27 years. Then he gets married. Well, maybe one of the reasons they did that is maybe Rachel. Why do I keep confusing the two? Well, actually, I know why. 2 girls in my own life. Anyway, Rachel, who's the one that he wants, maybe they had to wait that long for her to become mature, or more mature than she was. 7 years is kind of an arbitrary thing in the Bible. 7 is one of those numbers everybody attaches everywhere. Some people like to give it some sort of divine conspiracy aspect to it, but truth is, any number between 1 and 9, you're going to run into more times than not. I mean, 11, it's 2 ones together. People say, oh, it's a divine number. No, it's 2 ones next to each other. We count on our hands all the time because that's 10. So 7 years and 7 years. So Jacob spends a lot of his life with his uncle. And of that, he gets 2 wives and many children. Matter of fact, next episode that we're going to get into next time really starts multiplying the number of children of Abraham. And eventually that all gets taken away. But that's kind of the basis of a lot of Hebrew mythology. Let's leave that for the future. We hope you enjoyed this episode of the Silverlight Show. If you did, please like, share, subscribe, buy the merchandise. For just the price of a cup of coffee, you can have one of our ebooks. And for the price of about 7 cups of coffee, you can have one of our paperbacks sitting on your desk. Whatever happens, we hope you join us next time, and we hope you have a fantastic day.